right, I'd like to invite everyone to please take your seats, and we're going to reconvene. We have three more portions to our agenda tonight. The first is to receive the views of citizens with regard to the proposed real estate tax increase. And I want to state up front that there's not a proposal to increase the tax rate, but according to the code, I'm going to ask Mr. Spencer if he will clarify why the language is such that it is.
Real quickly, in accordance with Virginia Code 58.1-3321, anytime our revenues increase by 1% or more, then we are required by code to advertise it as a tax increase, even though the tax rate is remaining the same. But because the revenue generated from that same rate increases by more than 1%, we have to advertise it as an increase and hold this public hearing.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'll ask our clerk to please call the names of those citizens wishing to be heard on this matter.
We only have two speakers, Stephen Mabry and John Tipton.
Mr. Mabry, please come up. Thank you for coming tonight.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I was born a Roanoker in 1947. Today, 78 years later, I'm still here. I grew up here, went to school here. After college, I came back to Roanoke and began working with Roanoke City Schools. Got married, raised my family here. For 30 years, it was my privilege to work with Roanoke children as a teacher and as a school administrator. I retired from Roanoke City Schools in 1999 and began receiving my VRS pension. But looking at the pension back over the last 5 years, that VRS pension has increased 12.6%. By stark contrast, Roanoke City's real estate tax on my home has increased 40.8%. The Commonwealth, of course, requires localities to assess real estate at 100% of fair market value. But it does not require you to steadfastly maintain the tax rate at $1.22. Now we know politicos love to say, I haven't raised your taxes. Well, you haven't needed to. The real estate reassessment has done the job for you. And unfortunately, rather than recognizing the impact of tax burdens on our citizens, previous acts of council have mandated that we pay ever-increasing tax bills, and some of those increases now tripling what my pension adjustment has been. Rather than viewing the escalation in real estate values as an opportunity to lower the rate, previous councils have instead chosen to see this as a windfall and to look for opportunities to spend more money. This behavior is unsustainable for both the city and for its citizens. Unlike the city, as a senior citizen, I have no one else to turn to when I need more money. I don't think VRS would respond very favorably if I were to call them up and say, hey, my expenses have gone up. I need you to send me more money every month. We all need to live within our means. I do, and so does the city of Roanoke, need to live within its means. Your homeowners cannot be expected to continue enduring tax bill increases that are 3-to-1 over income increases. In the last election, we voted a new council, and here's your chance to show us that it's not simply going to be more of the same. Right now, you have the opportunity to demonstrate that you understand inflation affects us all, the city and its citizens, by reducing the tax rate, and you can still benefit from the reassessments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who was the second speaker?
John Tipton. Must not be here.
Okay. Are there any other persons here tonight that signed up to speak on this matter that did not sign up to speak, but Mr. Garland, did you sign up to speak for this? That's fine, come on up.
I would have included it earlier, but I didn't realize the real estate tax issue was an issue. But I just want to briefly echo his concerns, express that, that basically, when there is a substantial change in real estate values, it's appropriate to reduce the tax rate or allow it to automatically reduce. I'm not entirely sure how that works with the code, but whatever it is, that when the income, when the revenue is coming in at a higher rate, it is a windfall, and it's inequitable. Basically, it's a heads we win, tails you lose approach, because when the valuations are falling substantially, there'll be an effort to seek an increase in the tax rate, not to let the cards fall where they may. And there are a lot of problems with real estate taxes generally, and this is one of them. But raising or allowing or not making adjustments to the rate based on substantial changes in market value, really, owners only gain when they sell at the top of the market. And everyone else is stuck paying these higher taxes along the way that have to be paid now. The real estate value is a theoretical value. It's not real. It's not a realized value. But the taxes are very real that have to be paid on those assessments. And, from the money the homeowner may have, or their assets, their income, whatever it might be, the retirement. And and on a rental home, of course, it increases the rent because the landlord is going to increase rent based on the taxes they have to pay. And while some city leaders cry about lack of affordable housing, Roanoke City has the highest real estate tax rates in the region, with or without the gains in real estate value. And and as an aside, historic preservation requirements also drive up the cost of housing. That was an interesting discussion earlier today. But what needs to be done is to reduce the budget and narrow its scope, and not rely on some temporary fleeting change in real estate values. And I think this is going to be a fleeting one because the markets are in trouble, and not just because of the president. And it would also make Roanoke City more competitive vis-a-vis its neighboring localities, all of whom have lower tax rates, even if they do fund their schools at higher level and so forth. And as with all taxes, real estate taxes should only be raised or changed, the revenue should only be changed as necessary to provide true public goods, right? Things that are difficult or impossible to handle through private trade, private volunteer efforts and so forth. Things like police and fire protection, schools, streets, and so forth. Not simply to have more money to distribute to favored projects, favored groups, favored organizations, favored companies who know how to work the system. And up to and including, groups that make their own T-shirts and come in with posters and so forth, for a bus line that runs perpetually in the red. And that would go for the Berglund Center as well. They need to raise their prices if they're always in the red. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, those all of our speakers? Yes. All right. I'm going to close the public hearing for this matter. And again, thanks to everyone who spoke on this particular public hearing. All right, we're going to move to item 5, which is to receive the views of citizens with regard to the proposed prepared food and beverage tax increase, which is also often called the meals tax. And I'm going to open the public hearing, and Madam Clerk, I'll ask you to call the first 2 speakers for this public hearing.
Keith Lyles, Jeff Batson.
Welcome.
Evening, Mayor, members of council, Ms. Manager, and Ms. Clerk. My name's Keith Lyles. My wife and I own Deb's Frozen Lemonade. It's been in my family for 48 years. 5 years ago, we purchased it, and since then, everything has skyrocketed. Minimum wage was $7.25. It's now $12.41. The price of goods have increased. With the current tariffs, who knows what lemons will be tomorrow or in the future. We're a seasonal treat, so I'm not a necessity. Nobody has to have my product. But it's becoming more and more difficult for me to keep my prices affordable. It's lemonade. It can only be but so much. And raising the meals tax, leaves me unable to increase my prices when my cost of goods go up. I know it's not me doing it, it's coming to the city. However, the consumer, when they see a hot dog, a lemonade, and a bag of chips cost $6.85 on the menu board, and it comes up to $7.75 when I ask them for the money, it looks bad on me, not you guys. I heard it spoke of a lot tonight with the school board, with the school, the rainy day fund. I am the epitome of rainy days. When rainy days are here and it's cold, I don't do any business. In fact, I have the longest rainy day I think of anyone. It's from October to April. And so I have to plan for that rainy day and keep my expenses as low as possible so I'll be able to open up the next year. With that being said, I asked you, does the city have a rainy day fund and any plans that they can do for the future instead of going after one industry to make up for the shortfall? On another end, I'll say that, I respect you guys for everything that you do. I know it's a tough job, and you do the job that you're elected for. I clearly understand it. I'm in my third term as an elected official in Vinton Town Council. And hard decisions need to be made, but the decisions should always not be directed towards us. Vinton has tossed this idea around also, and I will let you know tonight that when it comes in front of my council, I'll be one to say no. And I hope you guys will be one to say no as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff Batson.
Okay.
James Bullington.
I'm not used to hearing your name as James.
Matt,
Matt.
good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have to start off, my kids have been watching this real time the whole time, so shout out to Sam and Caroline. And they probably need to get into bed soon, but they're watching Democracy in Action. So
They are.
Here we go. I'm the owner and operator of Texas Tavern. My family, we've operated for 95 years, 114 West Church Avenue in the city of Roanoke. We're Roanoke through and through. I've been doing it for 30 years. I remember when the meals tax was 4%. City had generated a little bit more money, went to 4.5. A few years later, it goes to 5. Financial crisis, goes to 7. Sunsets back to 5. A few years later, 5.5. Every time the city gets in a financial burden or has a financial burden, they come to our industry to help bail them out. Why can't other industries help shoulder this burden? Why is it always the restaurant industry? As many people are aware, the past 5 years have been the hardest 5 years in the history of the modern restaurant industry. I'm not exaggerating that. We had COVID restrictions, rampant inflation, supply line problems, dislocation of everything, and struggles that really continue to this day. The industry is just now beginning to get back on its feet, and it doesn't need another unneeded challenge by increasing the meals tax. Data by National Restaurant Association shows that for every 1% increase in a meals tax, there's a subsequent 7 to 10% reduction in sales volume. revenue. There's a real cost to it for the businesses. Business owners are aware that their customers are fatigued with price increases all the time. And this is why a meals tax ultimately gets absorbed by the restaurant. When a business's expenses go up and the city's already increased them by 1.5%, that's really a 1.5% that they can't increase their own costs to cover things that are going up, which are always going up. Restaurants already collect 100% more consumption taxes than any other non-food retailers in the city. Shouldn't that be enough? Consumption taxes are inherently regressive. Poorer folks end up paying a higher rate than people of means. It's that simple. Is that fair? I don't think so. National data shows 70 to 75% of most restaurants depend on locals for sales. It's probably about 85% for us, so it's locals that are paying this tax. Eating out's not a luxury. If you think so, ask the busy mom who stops at a local restaurant to get her kids something quick to eat while taking them from school tutoring to soccer practice. I assure you she thinks it's a necessity. The reality is that these constantly increasing meals taxes make it tougher for busy families to afford to eat out. We as an industry realize there must be taxes. We all want safe communities, good schools, and clean streets. We're not anti-tax. However, we are adamantly opposed to once again having our industry being alone and sharing the extra tax burden. On behalf of the restaurant owners and restaurant workers in the city of Roanoke, we respectfully ask City Council to find another way through their budget challenges without increasing the meals tax. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Eric DeLauro and Sharon Ponce.
Welcome, Mr. DeLauro.
A very small piece of paper. This will be quick. Thank you for listening to us and thank you for having us. I appreciate everything you guys do, you know. And I want to start by saying my name's Eric DeLauro and I've been at Table 50 for 19 years now. Currently, we have 16 employees. 2 of them don't have permanent residence. So, you have that. For all these people, I'd like to get them raises this year. My amount of pay that I pay people has gone up exponentially. I'm averaging 18 to 20 bucks an hour now. I like that. The proposed 5.5% to 7% will make us the second highest, I think, in the Commonwealth, which puts us at a competitive disadvantage in the whole state for conventions, for tourism, for new businesses coming to the area, for people deciding to move to our area. When we're the most expensive, this is some of the things they look at when they make their decisions of where they're going to take their convention. And for downtown, that's our lifeblood. It really is. The weekend crowds come. During the week, it's conventions, and it's very important. And after a while, you start getting this diminishing returns on these tax increases. I think last month of the month of March, I paid $5,100 in meals tax on Sunday. And I'm going to tell you right now, I would love to pay more. I'd love to pay $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month, but not in tax increases, in sales increases, because I need to pay my people more money, and I need to do that to keep them, and I need to take care of them. And this makes it really difficult when you put us at this competitive disadvantage. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Ponce.
Thank you. Mine is 2 pages, but I wrote big. My name's Sharon Ponce. I own and operate Little Green Hive. We have the 3 locations, and 2 of them are in Roanoke City. We've been operating it for about 10-ish years now. My family runs it. Our kids work there, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws. It is what we do. But today I'm not just here as a business owner. I'm here as someone who's deeply invested in Roanoke and its people. My whole family's been, like, my kids have raised here. We've been here 20-something years. They go to schools, they graduated, you know. People have seen my kids grow up. We grow with them. I'm strongly opposed to another increase in the meals tax. I understand the city has budget concerns, as we all do, but this tax puts an unfair burden on my business and businesses like mine, and more importantly, on the families who support us. We're still trying to recover from the past few tough years. Costs are up across the board, from coffee beans to wages. We work hard to keep our prices reasonable because we know that our customers are the heart of our business. Our restaurants aren't just about transactions, they're about community. They're about people that start their day, where friends catch up, where students study, and where neighbors connect. The majority of our customers are local families, people who choose to spend their hard-earned dollars at our businesses because they believe in supporting Roanoke. This tax increase will hit those families directly. It means their morning coffee, their afternoon pick-me-up, or their special night out, all of that gets a little more expensive. And it might not seem like much, but it adds up. It means those families have less money to spend elsewhere in our local economy. And that's where the real problems start. When people spend less at local businesses like mine, it ripples through our entire economy. And it can lead to reduced revenues for businesses, making it harder for us to stay afloat, invest in our operations, and create jobs. And we all know that when businesses struggle, we have to cut back on everything, meaning fewer dollars circulating in Roanoke. It'll also lead to a decline in the vibrancy of our city. A thriving restaurant and coffee shop scene is part of what makes Roanoke a great place to live and visit. I know this because it's our local businesses that are used to advertise coming in, staying in, and playing in Roanoke. This tax increase threatens that. But I want to emphasize that these losses for businesses will ultimately mean less tax revenue for the city the next year and the year after that. A short-term gain will lead to long-term deficit. So I ask you, how will you deal with the budget shortfall then? It's a tough situation, and we want Roanoke to thrive, but this meals tax increase puts the burden on the wrong shoulders. It'll make it harder for small businesses like mine to serve our community, and harder for our loyal customers to support us. And I want to urge you to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Hunter Johnson, Lawrence Landault.
Welcome, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to us today. My name is Hunter Johnson. I own 2 restaurants in Roanoke. I own Lucky and Fortunato. I opened Lucky in 2010 and Fortunato in 2015. Unfortunately, on March 16th, 2020, my world that I knew as the restaurant business changed forever. It was the day that I had to go to each staff. I started at Lucky. I went to them and I had to say, although you guys work at a very vibrant restaurant that's successful, I no longer have a job for you, and I'm not sure when I will have another job for you. Hopefully, it's the day that we had to shut down for COVID. I then proceeded to walk down the street to Fortunato, but on the way I stopped in the parking lot between and got sick. And then I had to go have the same conversation with the other 30 people that I employed. From that day, it got more and more difficult. Let's see, I would spend hours in my backyard saying, how am I going to keep my people fed and employed? How am I going to get them back? So we opened up 5 different ways each business over the next 2.5 years. It was like pivot, something would work, then they would stop working, and then we would have to pivot. Luckily, going back to when I had to tell my staff that I was laying them off, that day my business partner went to our bank and was able to secure a loan, which we were able to guarantee each of our employees a month's worth of pay, because we weren't sure what was going to happen. We were hopeful that the government was going to step in and do something for us, and thank God they did. While our industry is improving, we are nowhere near being back. Like they said before, there are less people working downtown now, which hurts the weekday business. I'm sure at lunch for Jason at Martin's, he's talked about Friday lunches being hit or miss. We have higher costs, labor, cost of goods. My rent goes up 3.5% every year. That's just the lease that I've had for 15 years at Lucky. And restaurants now are operating on a profit margin of about 3 to 5%. Those are the successful ones. So I'm really, really concerned about our industry. I'm really concerned about a meals tax increase. We need nothing that is going to throw a wrench in what we're doing now. We're starting to almost get back. And I just ask of you all to please consider this. You know, we are used as an economic driver for the city of Roanoke. We host tons of food riders sometimes at our own expense to try to promote the city. I love the city of Roanoke. I'm proud to be a resident of the city of Roanoke, and I'm proud to have been part of the renaissance of downtown Roanoke. So thank you all so much for your time.
Welcome, Mr. Lando.
Hi, Mayor Cobb, and hi to all city council members, city manager, city staff. I have to say I'm very proud of the food industry for banding together. You may have seen some videos online. You've probably seen some news stories and whatnot. I have an interesting perspective. My wife and I own the Spa at Hotel Roanoke, and since 2013, we've also operated the Tour Roanoke and the Roanoke Food Tours. And since 2013, we estimate over about 10,000 people have gone on our tours. And many of them are tourists, many of them are locals. I'd say a higher percentage tourists. I also have a perspective that I am a board member of the Blue Ridge chapter of the Virginia Restaurant Travel and Lodging Association, VRLTA. And so they have reached out and provided some information related to meals tax, some of which you're hearing other speakers talking about. But my perspective from the food tour industry and having so many people coming to us and doing particularly our downtown food tour, is that so many folks who come are super impressed and really enjoy the vibrancy of downtown and the food scene that we have here. We have some very unique food and culinary professionals and experiences here. These people come here in many cases just for that. The other thing that's also interesting with our food tour is that many of the guests are here checking out Roanoke. What's Roanoke all about? We're thinking about retiring. We're thinking about moving here. We have an opportunity to live anywhere we want. Roanoke was one of those cities we want to check out. We want to go and see what the food scene's about, what the history is about of Roanoke, how it fits in the culture. So the point I'm trying to make is that the restaurant owners, the culinary professionals that we have here are extraordinary. We have the culinary school at Virginia Western for just that reason, to feed that industry. They should be supported. And they, as Hunter points out, they're used by the Virginia's Blue Ridge as a means to attract conventions, tourism, and the increase in the meals tax will be counterproductive. I'm urging council, please find a more equitable means of funding the deficit and not going back to the industry that has been pointing out that is still recovering from the last 5 years of the pandemic. So find a more equitable way, something that the whole city can support, or other industries as well, not just this food industry. So that's my urging of the city, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Brian McJane, and Maxwell Mooney.
Is it Brett McDaniel?
Oh, I'm not sure. It looks like Jane.
I'll go.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you all. Just a moment here. I'm Bryn McDaniel. I'm the owner of Kind Baking Company, and we are located in the Wasena neighborhood. I'm asking you all to consider the negative impact that the food and beverage tax increase will have on our businesses. When I think about the proposed tax increase, I think about our regular customers, the ones we heavily rely on week after week, the customers that frequent and intentionally support local restaurants and businesses. The majority of my customers at Kind Baking Company regularly dine at Bloom, get coffee at R&D, attend trivia at Wasina Tap House, and dine throughout the city at our wonderful local restaurants. They're the ones that truly keep us going. This increase is going to be felt by these customers across the board, which will ultimately impact all of us. Please think about the struggles that the food industry is facing right now, especially the ones in the Wasina neighborhood that are affected by the Main Street Bridge closure. We are continuously having to get creative to draw customers in, and this tax increase will only make it harder on us. We have an incredibly talented food scene here in the city, and I feel for the negative impact this increase will have on all of us. I'm asking you all to consider alternative options. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Maxwell Mooney. I'm new here to Roanoke within the last year and a half, but I'm not new to the food and beverage scene. And I'm also not new to helping navigate the challenges of medium-sized cities in post-industrial America. I was on the Economic Advisory Council for the mayor of the city of Everett, which is an all-American city of about 110,000 people, which should sound very familiar to you right now. We've undertaken some of these same challenges. I also ran my own coffee business for about 8 years, and I now operate as a consultant for the food and beverage industry all over the world, but especially in the United States. And what you've heard today from these restaurant operators is exactly the case all around the country. People operate on very slim margins, between 3 and 5%, and I know that you're viewing this tax increase as relatively small, marginally. It's only 1.5%. But that's about 50% of many operators' profits. And my concern is that by increasing this meals tax, we're actually going to worsen some of the challenges that this city already faces. When I look at the challenges that we do face, what comes to mind is large homegrown businesses that were headquartered here in Roanoke leaving to places like Raleigh. Because why? Well, we don't have the young workforce, the talented workforce that they need to stay competitive. So we see companies like Advanced Auto relocate their headquarters. One of the things that drives young people and drives culture is food and beverage businesses. When you look around, we have some of the cultural powerhouses of Roanoke in this room right now. People like Bloom and Fortunato and Lucky's. All of these people, and Texas Tavern, these people contribute to the culture that is Roanoke in a way that almost no other industry can. And I find it concerning that it's this specific industry that is the only real target of tax increases. It's totally understandable to need to increase revenue to make up for budget shortfalls. Most other places in the country have sales tax on other industries as well, not just meals taxes. And so my encouragement to you would be to look for some of those areas that you may have some options, or to do just like every restaurant and food and beverage business owner has to do, and tighten their own belt and look at extraneous areas of expense that can be dealt with through public-private partnerships, through volunteering, from citizens who want to have the amenities in their spaces, like parks, volunteering, doing things like that, and finding some creative ways. It sounds like we have a lot of fresh, young energy on the city council, and I know that you guys have a big task ahead of you in figuring out some of these big challenges, but I think with some creativity and some working together that we can see a lot of good things happen. So I would just like to encourage you not to increase the meals tax.
Thank you.
The last speaker, Fred Najum.
Welcome back.
Good evening again. Fred Najum, owner of Roanoke Fruit and Produce Company, family-owned and operated business. We've been in business since 1910 in the Roanoke Valley. We supply a lot of these local restaurants and school systems. And I would ask that please consider the ripple effects that these taxes have. If people stop or cut down on going out to eat, then my business suffers too, along with the farms I buy from, local and out of state. not to mention the hard restaurant workers, cooks, servers, chefs that support the businesses. Average lunch in Roanoke already costs around $20, and that's enough. That's enough. Restaurants are paying more, much more, for everything on their menu, so they have to raise their prices. Meals tax is high enough. Also, if people eat out less or stop eating out, then the city doesn't benefit at all because they won't collect the money anyway. So why tax just restaurants? Can we put a tax on cigarettes? Can we put a tax on gasoline? We've got to find another solution. So let's figure this out. And also, when my revenue goes down, when my sales go down, that's less money that I have to pay for a business license. So also, point before, is outsourcing food service from Roanoke City Schools really saving us a lot of money? There's a lot of things we need to look at before we impose this meals tax. And I think Mr. Vollison's dad would agree with that too. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone that we had signed up. Is there anyone in the room tonight that would like to speak on this as well? Are we good? All right, thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing, and again, thank everyone who turned out tonight to speak on this topic. Our last agenda item tonight is the hearing of citizens upon public matters. And we do set this time as a priority for citizens to be heard. If deemed appropriate, matters will be referred to the city manager for a response, recommendation, or report back to the city council. So do we have citizens signed up to speak?
Yes, we do. We have 5.
Okay. If you'll call the first 2, please.
Kathy Carter, Chris Sanchez.
That's cool. Okay. Welcome, Ms. Carter.
Thank you, thank you. It's a long night for everyone. My name is Kathy Carter, and I'm representing Friends of Washington Park. And I want to commend and thank the City Council, Mayor Cobb, and the city manager and her staff, especially Helen. I want to commend you all for your support, giving us permission to apply for specific grants, federal grants, that will help preserve one of Roanoke's oldest architectural charm. And I know it doesn't look like a charm now. From the naked eye, I've heard words that it's a sore eye. But if you can just dream with us. Mr. Hale, he had a dream. He built Dreamland. So this charm that we're referring to is the caretaker's cottage at Washington Park. For those of you who don't know, I also stand with CI Institute that we hired to be our project coordinator, along with the support of Roanoke Preservation, the hundreds of supporters, community-wide, diverse churches, and other various organizations. We're all excited to be able to rehab this 188-year-old historic structure. And this would be like a third chance for it. You know, once it was a tavern, and then the white settlers lived in it, and then it became the cottage or the dwelling place for the caretakers of the park. And this is their third chance to preserve it and have it to be used for the community's need. Now, we are planning a charrette that will further identify what the community has suggested based on the hundreds of surveys we've done. There's going to be a formal nomination written in June, which will be listed on the National Historic Landmark. Washington Park will be 102 years old come July 4th, and it was dedicated in 1923, and so we wanted to plan a commemorative celebration that would be free to the public, and we would like to ask the city if they would help support us with this project. It would show good citizen and city support. Now, I came back to Roanoke in February 2019 during COVID, when I was traveling with my grandkids. We got stuck here in Roanoke, and outside was where we wanted to be. And I was in the Gainsborough community at the time. The closest park was Washington Park. The condition of the park, what I saw, was my reason for joining the Parks Board. And one of the things I'd like to ask the city to do, we only put in 2%. And I would like to say if we can just put in 1% more towards our park, because these are our children. These are our children. And these are your children. These are your seniors. These are your disabled. And these are your young adults. And we need to invest more in them in our parks. And children are drawn to the parks. And I look at the lights. This is one of the darkest parks in the city. Now, when they put the planned bill for the pool, they didn't include lights within the park, only around the pool. So we're still going to have a dark park. And so I would like to say, let's breathe new life into this park. And I want to thank you once again, and have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Chris Sanchez.
Welcome, Mr. Sanchez.
Good evening, Mayor Cobb and members of City Council. My name is Chris Sanchez, and I have the tremendous honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Christiansburg Institute Incorporated. We are a grassroots 501c3 education and cultural preservation nonprofit located in Montgomery County, where we operate a community-based museum and a learning center. Our namesake honors the historic Christiansburg Industrial Institute, which is the first African-American high school in the region of Southwest Virginia to educate formerly enslaved people, that was supervised by Booker T. Washington from 1985 until his death in 1915. Indeed, during racial segregation, many black students from Roanoke traveled to Montgomery County to attend the school to receive an accredited high school diploma during that time in United States history. I'm here to extend our gratitude to the city for working in collaboration with Christiansburg Institute and the Friends of Washington Park to rehabilitate a city-owned property, the Caretaker's Cottage, located in Booker T. Washington Park, as a vital cultural asset and educational opportunity that proudly promotes heritage tourism and celebrates the diverse history of Roanoke in the region of Southwest Virginia. As an important related update, CI Inc., working together, has been invited to submit a full grant proposal to the Black, Indigenous, People of Color grant program that's administered by the Department of Historic Resources. The purpose of that grant program is to protect and support Virginia's historically underserved and underrepresented communities and the cultural and historical sites associated with them. I thank the city manager in particular and Helen Ferguson for working to provide a letter of support to proceed with the grant application from the onset. I'd also like to recognize the incredible leadership and commitment of the Friends of Washington Park, who've consistently demonstrated their dedication and zeal in advocating, raising awareness, and engaging the community about the history of the park and the cottage. Thank you for your time and support thus far. I look forward to continuing conversation and collaboration around preserving this critically important heritage site with the goal of reopening it for public benefit and community use for generations to come. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez, if you can hang out for a little bit after the meeting tonight, it'd be great. Thanks.
Brenda Randolph, Brittany Flowers.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Cobb.
Welcome.
I came here tonight with an issue that popped up. I am a tenant of Hurt Park. I'm a second Hurt Park. I was in the first Hurt Park, now I'm in the second Hurt Park. We got a letter the other day stating that our rent is going to be raised tremendously. I'm in a handicap apartment, and a 2-bedroom apartment now will be $950. My daughter lives in a 3-bedroom apartment, and her rent will be $1,100. Now, I'm quite sure that this is a typo or a mistake, or I don't know what's going on, but this is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous, because we have seniors that are on fixed income, and I am one of them. There's no way that you can send a letter to people knowing full well that we cannot match this. Then my neighbors got afraid, where are we going to go? Where are we going to move to? There is nowhere to rent in Roanoke because everywhere is high. And a lot of people are on Section 8. Are we going to lose our Section 8 certificate? They don't know. But this letter has stirred up a hornet's nest. And I would just like for you all to know that's what's going on. And the seniors have been banding together. And we're not going to tolerate this. It might be a mistake, but it's an ugly mistake. And we're bound and determined that we're going to find out real soon what's going on. And I thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Randolph. Ms. Randolph?
Ms. Randolph,
We have a quick question.
did you write your name and number and contact information when you signed up to speak? You did? Okay. I'll be reaching out to you. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Brittany Flowers. I'm a public historian and genealogist collaborating with CI Inc. and Friends of Washington Park to help preserve the Caretaker's Cottage and its history. And I'd like to provide some historical context for our work. The property upon which the Caretaker's Cottage sits holds centuries of layered history. Long before it was misnamed the Evans House, it was part of the ancestral territory of the Chitello and other Siouan-speaking people who were forcibly displaced from the land. From colonization through emancipation, this property was used by enslavers for agricultural profit, not as a homestead. Until 1837, there is no evidence that those enslavers lived where the cottage now stands. This was where the enslaved worked and possibly lived. In the 1840s, Jeremiah Whitten sold 8 of these enslaved people from the property to cover his debts. Barnett, Peter, Willis, George, Harrison, Millie, Eliza, and Rhodey are their names. In 1864, Mary J. Lawson gave birth to twins at this site while enslaved by Clack Campbell. Only one of those children survived. Her family, along with a handful of others enslaved nearby, are now memorialized at Roanoke College's newly installed Authors and Architects Monument. We now have multiple ways of contextually telling this history. It is important that we speak the names aloud that were intentionally erased from public memory. The work of uncovering these histories, building community partnerships, and shaping ethical preservation efforts is what CI Inc., Friends of Washington Park, and I are actively doing. This work ensures acknowledgement that the lives of those tied to this land indeed mattered. This is not a sidebar story. This is Roanoke's history. The lives tied to this land and the community's long fight to protect it belong at the center of how we understand our city's past and how we choose to shape its future. How we do this work matters. Historic preservation must be accountable. It must support reconciliation and respect Black-led grassroots leadership. CI Inc. and Friends of Washington Park have brought forward a historically sound, community-driven plan. The work we are doing is about more than restoring a building. It is about restoring dignity. I am genuinely excited about the opportunity to work with the City of Roanoke in continuing this community-led endeavor. Together, we can ensure that this history is preserved with the care and accuracy and respect it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The last speaker is Alton Aiken.
Welcome, Mr. Akins.
This has been a long time in process for the speech to come. I've been patient. The Lord's been patient. I've been listening to a lot of people, can't figure out what's going on. Well, I have a message from the Lord. I'm going to speak tonight. This is it. I may not even come back and say it again. The Lord said to every one of y'all, He will not let you build your developments over the whole face of the earth. He says He will stop you. You're destroying His balance. You're destroying everything He created. He said, I will destroy every city, and there won't be one city that will not be touched. I'm seeing city after city die in the United States. Y'all don't see it coming, but I do. The earth belongs to the Lord. It doesn't belong to mankind. He gives me my little portion of land. And I use it for nature preserve. All my neighbors cut down all their trees. The deer live there. I got every kind of animal living on my property. It's beautiful. I'm just waiting for the Lord here. I'm going to let Him speak. We have a system of fair market value and real estate growth and all that. There's nothing wrong with having that system. But when you abuse it, I really don't believe that y'all not going to stop the taxing. I believe y'all going to continue. I was paying about $2,500. Maybe $3,000, and now I'm paying over $5,000. I don't believe it's going to stop. This city is no different between any other city that's been destroyed in this country. We need to account what the Lord said. Quit tearing up His land. Quit tearing up what He told you. If you want to know what He doesn't like, you need to read your Bibles. It's all in there. Everything I said tonight's in the Bible.
Thank you, Mr. Akins.
I'm going to say the last thing.
Okay, I'll let you wrap up.
Yeah. I need a appointment with Miss Turner. I tried to get an appointment with Bob Cowell. He wouldn't see me. I tried to get, 2 months ago, I tried to get an appointment, but it was ignored for some reason. I don't know what happened. And I just had an appointment on the 11th. She's not available. I heard that the Rambler newspaper said that it was going to be an open door policy. You need to get my appointment before the end of this year.
All right, sir, we'll connect you with the city manager's office, okay?
But I don't want to talk to all those other ones. They were under Bob Cowell's
Sir,
department.
I'm saying we will work to get you an appointment, okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you,
good luck.
thank you.
It's over with. The city's over with if y'all continue.
All right, I want to thank everyone who turned out tonight. We heard a lot of voices, which is really important. Thank you for being involved in democracy and for being a part of our city. We are grateful for each and every one of you. There being no further business set forth to come before the council, this meeting is adjourned.